Are 3 wheels better than 2? Today we're going to check out this 2020 Can-Am Ryker. So this is a 2020 Can-Am Ryker Rally Edition, which is the 900cc, and the Rallys only come in 900, but these also come in 600. And these came out in 2019, and the 2 model years are identical, but they're pretty fresh to the road. So this is Jared, the owner of this Ryker, and I'm going to ask him a few questions and kind of walk around the bike and let him explain some stuff about it.
Is this the Random Car Garage?
Yes.
Yeah, this is like the 5th video on the channel,
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I made it. We're on Random Car Garage. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like your other content. I've watched the videos about the Mustang and the other the little car. I like that stuff.
Awesome.
Thank you for letting me be in your video.
No problem.
With my little weird bike. All right, sorry.
Okay, so you picked this up a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had it maybe 4 months now, 4 or 5 months, and I put about 600 or 700 miles on it in that time. So, you know, it's a recreational vehicle, so I use it recreationally. I don't need it to get around every day, but when the weather's nice or if I feel like it, then I'll hop on this thing because it's a lot of fun.
All right, so tell us the differences between the 600, the 900, and then the Rally Edition.
Okay, so a lot of your viewers, and probably most of like the world, has never seen one of these things, so I'm glad you're making a video about it. So the Can-Am Ryker is sort of like a little brother to the Can-Am Spyder. So the Can-Am Spyder is the 3-wheel bike that Can-Am's famously made for like a decade now, but they wanted to have something that was a little cheaper and a little more accessible. So they came up with the Ryker. So you could think of a Ryker as like a stripped-down version of a Spyder. So the very bottom of that is the Can-Am Ryker 600, which is basically the bike you see with just a little 600cc engine and no extra frills. There's no plussing on that at all. Then they make a version of that bike that has the 900cc, much bigger motor that has 90 horsepower, and it has a little bit different suspension and brakes and some upgrades. And then they make sort of their top-end model, which is the Ryker Rally, which is what this one is. Which is the same engine as the 900, but they have a lot of extra accessories, some different suspension, and some other pieces that you might end up adding on later that just kind of come right out of the box that way. So if you end up wanting to modify your bike or do some extra stuff to it, you might actually save money by buying the Rally Edition because it comes with 6 or 7 different things in the list that you don't have to pay extra for because it's included in the price of the bike.
So it looks like, speaking of extras, it looks like you've done a few things.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a look at all those and talk about that?
Okay. Well, you know, I think with any bike or car or anyone who's into, this kind of stuff, that you want to change things. You want to customize it, right? So the Ryker is just right in that alley. So I could take you guys through some of the different stuff we've done. So number one is the wheels. So as of the time of right now, there are no aftermarket wheel options on a Ryker. So these are the factory wheels, but out of the box, they're silver, and they're like a really bright silver. I think they look honestly bad, really bad. So I wanted to see if we can powder coat them, and we did. My friend Dave Coast was able to help me out with the powder coating, and we did a really unique 2-tone prismatic powder coat on it. So it has like a metallic black on the front, it looks like a light gray, but it's supposed to be a black. And then on the inside of the spokes and the inner barrel is like a liquid black, or what they call like an ink black. So with the 2 tones, you get some depth and some, a little bit of a dynamic look, but it's not so crazy and loud that it looks like, obnoxious. In fact, if I hadn't have told you that these are aftermarket, you would probably think that the bike came this way, which is exactly the look we were going for. So the biggest thing that we've done is powder coating the wheels, but there's tiny little stuff all over the bike. Like, for example, here in the handlebars, these arm protectors come factory on any Rally Edition, but they don't have the lights in them. So whenever you power up the bike, you have these cool lights that come on here. Now the lights aren't included. So if you had the 600 or the 900 and you wanted to add this, you'd have to get the metal cover and the lighting accessory. But since I had the Rally, I just had to get the lighting accessory on the inside. Similarly with the lights, these Fender Lights here, these are from website. What's it called? Sling Mods. Yeah. Sling Mods. Sorry, well, they don't pay me to say that, so I'm allowed to forget. So this is a Sling Mods sequential LED kit, and this is like a must-have. So all 3 versions of a Can-Am Ryker just have a reflector there, like a bicycle, which is just so cheap and dumb. So you really want to have a lot of visibility. So replacing that reflector with something that has LEDs is cool. And you'll see here too, it's sequential. So when you activate the turn signal, you get this really cool movement, like a lot of the new cars. New Corvette has sequential taillights. Mustangs have sequential taillights, and it makes a lot of sense for the Ryker to have these cool sequential lights on them too. Here in the front, we have a BRP accessory headlight kit. You could think of it as almost like a fog light or a light bar. This is an official Can-Am accessory, so when the bike is stock, again, on all three models, there's just a plate there. So if you want to change that out, you have to, buy that extra, but I just think it looks really cool. It definitely fits the lines of the bike and gives you a little extra lighting. These two fenders here, these little fender flares, they're completely pointless. I don't think they keep me on the ground or whatever, but it just adds like one more set of vents. And this thing's got so many little vents and holes and everything in the front of it. It's like a Batman bike. And that's kind of the look that you're going for here. Something that looks like, really, really sporty and has all kinds of fins and edges. Here, these plates, those come silver. We had those powder coated to match the inside of the bike wheels, but those are that same liquid black. And these plates are another BRP accessory that we added on the left and right side. Factory, this would have been silver. So all the silver accents on the bike, we went back and repainted satin black. My friend Daniel and Daniel's actually behind the camera. It's a little secret RCG fact. He's always behind the camera. So this is like a satin black that we painted. And over here, these fins on the side, on either side, are satin black that we painted. And then back here, I think there's one more thing that we painted. Nope.
The exhaust, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, the exhaust tip over here is also painted like a ceramic black or a high temp black. This seat is called the Can-Am Comfort Seat. So this was one of the original accessories when the bike came out last year in 2019. And versus a stock seat, it gives you, some stitching, a little bit of extra padding. It's a little bit more of a premium material. So, it just is an upgraded seat. And having ridden on both, I can now confirm that this is actually a superior seat. But it has like the little red stitching, the red tag, which kind of, flows. There's tiny little red details all over the bike, so I think it does look really good. One thing I want to definitely mention is the Ryker Rally Edition has an adjustable suspension. So the 600 and the 900 don't have that at all, but the Rally comes with that factory, which is probably the best upgrade that the Rally has. So you get this valve here, and this pressure valve you can adjust on a scale of 1 to 4, which adjusts the tension of this rear coilover spring. So if you're running 2 up, which there's an accessory called the Max Mount that this came with, it's not on the bike today, but there's a big plate that comes back here and you can mount your second seat to that. So if you add on a couple of 100 pounds of extra weight on the back of the bike, on the 600 or the 900 it could really struggle and you can have a lot of suspension lag and problems, but on the Rally Edition you can just tighten up the rear coilover just by adjusting this little knob on the side. So for anyone who ever wants to have one of these and ride with a passenger, the Rally Edition really is the best way to go. But they also carry over that coilover KYB suspension onto the front as well. So even the front suspension is upgraded versus the 600 or the 900 with a little bit better brand shock and spring.
So did you change out this fender here?
Yeah, so this is something that Mr. Daniel helped me out with as well. So on the 600 and the 900, this is called the full fender, and this comes factory equipped on the 600, 900 models. For whatever reason, Can-Am thought that for the people with the Rally Edition that they're just going to go off-roading and hunting in the forest or whatever. So stock, the Rally Edition has what they call the Rally fender, which only comes up a few inches here and then stops, and you have this entire exposed rear tire. I didn't like the look, honestly. I didn't like the look. I think it sort of took away from the sleek, kind of futuristic look of the bike. So what I found out is that basically all the Can-Am Ryker parts are interchangeable. So if you want the full rear fender, you can go to a Can-Am dealer. I went to Lewis Power Sports in Greenville, and they were able to help me order one of these straight from Can-Am, and the BRP part came in. Took a little bit of finagling to get it on there, but really not that big of a deal. And I think personally that this bike looks much better with the full rear fender. So even though this is a factory part on this model bike, it's technically a mod because it's something that wouldn't have been there stock. There's also another little thing that I didn't even tell you about. Here on the back, we added in, Sling Mod sent me this little brake strobe. So when you hit the brake lights, you see how it flashes? So stock, when you hit it, it just comes on and off. But that flashing like that, especially in the dark or at night, is going to help somebody notice you a little bit easier, and it's going to catch their attention. So, with a bike, visibility is actually really, really, really important. That's why they have high-vis jackets that are like neon colors, and they have bright, obnoxious helmets, and you see a lot of guys with lights. It's not all just for show. It's literally for safety, because someone's not going to be as likely to change lanes into your bike or pull out in front of you if they can see that you're there. So a lot of bikers will justify adding on as many lights as possible because visibility might just save your life.
Yep.
So in that case, maybe not so bad. But other tiny little things, This bike has 2 air intakes on the side. So on the right-hand side, this is a CVT intake. So this basically goes for the transmission. I think that the Ryker is really unique. A lot of people are like, hey, how's the clutch? There is no clutch. It's one speed. It goes from 0 to 110 miles an hour and just one continuous speed. So the CVT is a continually variable transmission. Mm-hmm. It's just like if you guys have ever been in a Polaris or a side-by-side, any of those, it uses the same type of technology. It just kind of goes and goes and goes and goes. But that transmission gets really hot. So it has a transmission filter on the other side of this, and it pulls in air to cool it off there. On the left-hand side is a traditional cold air intake, and you could swap that out for a Can-Am air filter, and they've dyno confirmed that to pick up about 4.5 horsepower. Not that much, but when you're dealing with a 90 horsepower platform, it could be a lot. A lot of people have asked me this is cool. Where do you put the gas in it? Well, there's the gas tank. So I really like that they've hidden the gas tank. You know, instead of having like a big obnoxious lid on top, they have it where it just sort of fits this aesthetic. A lot of bikes would have a huge chrome gas knob or something like that, but they have this. This is cool too, is I guess they have different size fillers in different countries or whatever. So an American gas pump knob will not fit into this. So there's a tiny little funnel that they keep right here. So you have to twist this key, and when you twist this, it unlocks, and you can see the CVT filter here, and this funnel, which sort of stays here, you need that to put into the hole to put gas into it, which is just another little weird little thing. So another thing I think is really neat is it has what we call a frunk. So a frunk is a front trunk. So you press this, and inside you can keep your gloves. There's even a USB port in there if you want to charge your phone. So if your helmet has Bluetooth in it, you can keep your phone in here, and then you can listen to it through the helmet. But this is a nice watertight place to keep at least a few little things from getting wet. And the bike, of course, is waterproof, although I've never driven this one in the rain. And probably the one other thing I really want to mention, the key. So the key is uses a NFC chip inside. So this key is programmed to this bike, and even though it has this little cup here on the end, it's not an ignition in the traditional sense. If this was in your pocket, it would work probably just fine, but you just snap it onto this little ball so it's close enough to the reader, and only with that can you power up the bike. So you would never want to steal a Can-Am. Well, don't steal in general, folks, it's illegal, but definitely don't steal it without the key, because you're never going to get far with it, and no Can-Am dealer will make you another key unless they can verify that you're the owner with identification and everything. So this is not the one to steal. Plus, it's really heavy and big, and it's got to be, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine it would be harder to steal than a two-wheeler. And that kind of comes to, like, the main point is it better than a two-wheeler? What do you think?
I think so. I think it's awesome. Looks super cool, and I've ridden it around the neighborhood, not far, but it's really fun.
I think that owning a bike and driving a bike, it honestly is going to come down to preference. Forever it's been two wheels. That's all it's ever been for like 100 years. So you can't argue hard against that Harley culture and that, two-wheel bike culture that's been established for multiple generations. I get it. It's earned a lot of respect. And so the whole three-wheel thing is honestly very new in the overall timeline of bikes. And the Ryker is only 18 or 24 months old, so most people have never even seen or heard of this. Here's what I can definitely say. This is making motorcycling, more accessible, right? A bike like this is a lot more likely to bring in new buyers and to make people more comfortable with the idea of biking on the road at all than saying two wheels are nothing, right? So for me, I've always said, yeah, I'm never going to ride a motorcycle because I've been to too many funerals and seen too many people get seriously hurt or killed on a bike. So I'm scared of bikes, but I'm not scared of this. Something about the extra wheel and the layout of it just gives me the confidence that I need to get out and drive on the road, and I've had a great time with it. I've never had any major issues, but I'm not out hot dogging it either. I'm old.
A few moments later.
Sport mode, and you can just, just kind of go like that, baby! So I'm not out at 2 in the morning, cutting traffic and trying to go 150 miles an hour. By the way, this tops out at 108 miles an hour. So it's not a specifically fast bike, and even with the 900cc engine, it's not incredibly fast. It's just not. But it gets you where it needs to go. It gets 35 miles a gallon. Has a lot of lights on it. A lot of visibility. And I love the way it looks. I think it's a unique, fun, cool toy. And I think that everyone's going to start seeing a lot more Can-Ams in their own neighborhood if they haven't already, because this is something that's incredibly popular. In fact, I think they have like a 3-month wait list right now.
Oh, wow.
To get one of these. They can't make them fast enough. So people are really, really excited. So although I'm an early adopter of the Ryker platform, I'm definitely not going to be the last. In fact, I think a lot more people are going to end up pulling the trigger on one of these in the months and years to come. Maybe you.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll
Little
see.
random Ryker garage.
We'll see. I would like one. They're super cool.
Would you paint it teal?
I'd probably do teal accents up through here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about it is like you could do a lot. You know, there's so much customization. There's so many places to paint or to wrap or to powder coat. It's very easy and not unbelievably expensive to make this your own. That's the other cool thing about a bike too, is like if you have a sweet tooth for customization on a bike or especially a truck, it costs a ton of money. It costs a ton of money to properly modify these massive platforms. So you scale all the way that down to the size of a bike, and it is also still expensive, but it's a fraction of as expensive to modify a car. So you can have the fun of modifying and changing and make it your own without like really breaking the bank, and I think that's some of the appeal of owning a bike too. But I definitely think the Ryker's a neat thing. It's kind of like a snowmobile with tires. It's like a snowmobile with tires. But. Okay, so I want to show you guys exactly how you start up a Can-Am Ryker. I think it's pretty unique. So number one, you want to have the key, and you're going to put the key here on the NFC reader on the side. This is kind of unique. You have to put the foot down on the brake, and a lot of people think that this thing would have brakes up here like a regular motorcycle. No, it has a foot brake like a car. So you put your foot brake on, you activate the power switch, which is this big red switch here on the right. Then you have to take the throttle and move it up. Then you have to press the ignition button, and if your foot's on the brake, the key's on, and you've put the throttle up first, it'll start up. So now that I've started up the bike, it's in park. So whenever you take the parking brake off, which is over here on the left side, it's a big switch. So when I flip the switch down, now the bike's in reverse. So you can see the lights are flashing because the bike's in reverse, and here on the instrument panel, it's giving me a big R to let me know the bike's in reverse. So as I ease off the brake and give it some gas, I'm just gonna roll backwards because I'm in reverse. Now, to switch the bike into forward, there's a big kick panel right here on the left-hand side. You got this big bar. So when I take my foot and I push it forward like that, now the bike's in the forward position. So it can only be an F, R, or P for front, reverse, or park. So right here on the instrument panel, it's telling me F. So since it's saying F, that means that it's gonna go forward. So if I hit the gas, it's gonna go forward, okay? Whoa, that's a little fast. Now, let me also bring up that the Ryker has a few different driving modes. So by default, it's in its normal mode. Then you can hold down the button. You can put it in a sport mode, which gives you a little bit more throttle response and turns off the traction control. You can hit it again to go into rally mode, which keeps the traction control off, gives you even more throttle, and makes it sideways action on the dirt. Press it one more time, it goes into eco mode where it sips on the gas a little bit, gives you about extra 5 miles a gallon, takes away some of the horsepower and some of the throttle response, or you can roll back around to the normal, just default setting. So there's 4 different driving modes on a Can-Am Ryker.
All right, so that's the Can-Am Ryker. This model will run you about $12,500 plus TT&L, and overall, I think it's affordable, really cool, customizable toy, and maybe one day I'll get one. See you later.
Sorry, you should never do a burnout without a helmet and proper eye protection on. So that was a bad OSHA violation. I did not mean to do that on camera. I just wanted to get a little sporty with you, show you some of that lifestyle that us Ryker peeps are living, that you ain't living, but you could be about this life by visiting your Can-Am dealer today. Find more information. I'm just kidding. I don't know.